Hello, Power Up Nation. I'm Pat Council, and I want to talk about a benefit that will increase business revenues. And I want to talk about this because I think this tip or strategy that I'm going to give you, it doesn't cost anything. And it's something that can actually drastically increase your business. Now, there are several different strategies, but on Thriving Thursday, where we talk about business and we share different strategies and marketing tips and sales tips, and we even deal with your mindset as it relates to your business. We share tips on that. So, but today, I think this one you'll like. Not that you didn't like the others, but I think you'll like this one because it's free. And as I said, it doesn't take much from you. Okay. So with that being said, I'll just jump right out there with it. And this particular tip, by the way, it can help you if you're trying to increase your customer base. So this tip, it helps you with customer acquisition, and you don't have to work as hard. And as I said, it will help you increase your revenues. It will help you grow your business. Now, I've seen this done over the years, and I've been in business for more than 25 years, successfully. And so I've seen this done, and not just by me, but by some of my mentors who are built multi-million-dollar businesses. Well, they already had the multi-million-dollar businesses when I met them, but some of my mentors, actually some other people, that were not my mentors, but I know them personally, we're friends. And actually, you can see some of the others, even online, you can kind of tell which companies are thriving. Of course, Amazon is a given. But I've seen this used time and time again by some of the best of the best. And so, as I said, I'll get right to it. And that is customer service. You know, it sounds like a small thing, but I can tell you that's a big thing today, because I am surprised at the number of people that want to be in business, that actually start a business, have a small business, and the quality of their services are, well, they're not good, not in terms of their skill level, but in terms of how they deal with the customer, in terms of how many promises they keep. When they promise their customer they're going to do something, in terms of how they greet the customer and talk to the customer and treat the customer like they actually do matter and that they're interested in what that customer has to say. So I've seen this across the board. I mean, it's happened to me. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this on this Thriving Thursday is that I needed some fluids in my car. Well, I don't know anything about cars. I mean, I know a little bit, but not enough to repair anything. Okay. And if you're out there thinking, well, you should learn how to do these things. Yeah, well, I probably should. But let's just say I don't want to. And I'll just move on from there. Because I guess if I can pay someone, I usually do my homework. Now I'll do my homework to kind of do my best to make sure, people aren't overcharging me or they're not cheating me. But here's what I want to tell you about that. When you treat a customer like they matter, a lot of times, and don't do this, okay? But even if you were to overcharge them, they would know. I mean, if it's like really too high, they're going to know. But my point is, if you overcharge them a little bit, then they would be okay with that, because people want to be treated with the best service possible, with actually the best price. And sometimes the best price do require that you charge a little bit more so that you can pay for some of the let's say products and services that you need, that you can transfer over to them. So I'm not telling you to overcharge your customer. Okay. You want to do fair market value always. But the point that I'm getting to here is, I needed a fluid in my car, and I'm like, okay. And so I called one place. My car, it's a Toyota Sequoia. So I called Toyota, and Toyota wanted to charge me just to bring it in. Okay. we're going to charge you just to bring it in. We're going to charge you to look at it. I said, well, I know I need this one fluid. I need this refill. And they said, well, we still have to check it over. So they wanted to charge me this money. Well, okay. And I was going to take it to them, but then I thought about it. Let me call around, which normally I do compare prices. So then I called Tires Plus. And then when I called Tires Plus, they said, if you buy the fluid and bring it with you, we'll put it in for you absolutely free. So it took less than, I don't even know if it took 2 minutes. And I bought the fluid. It wasn't expensive. They put it in for me and done. Now, of course, I now know how to put that fluid in if I ever need it. But I think it'll be a long time before I need it. But if I do, I know exactly where to, how to put it in. But you know what? I still rather pay someone, just being honest. So, but the point I'm getting to here is that they made me feel like I mattered to them. It wasn't because they offered to do it free. It was because of how they addressed me and they talked to me like I was a person. They were very polite and they didn't make a big deal about it. And they asked me the right questions. So they showed concern. Now, one of the things I said to them is, okay, I'm going to have the car checked out. I just couldn't do it that day. I said, I'm going to have the car checked out, so I'm going to bring it back. And I said, well, how much is that? So they told me what the price was. And I said, no problem. No problem. I'm going to bring it back to you guys. So why I wanted to bring my car back to them. I wanted to take it back to them. So for whatever services that my car needs, if they can fulfill that need, I prefer to deal with them because, as I said, they treated me like I was a person. They didn't treat me like I was one big dollar sign. And it isn't just about the money. As I said, it's about the fact that they didn't, about the other place, well, Toyota, and normally I don't call companies names, but in this case, this is nothing against Toyota. There are probably some Toyota mechanic shops or service repair shops that do a great job. But this particular one, and I'm not going to say where it is. If you're in Jacksonville, Florida, you probably already know. But anyway, so but it's just how they talk to me like they were robots. As a matter of fact, and I'm actually not trying to be funny here, but when I was talking to the lady over the phone, I wasn't sure if she was an AI robot. And I asked her, I said, is this a real person or is this AI? And she says, no, you're talking to a real person. I said, oh, okay. I said, not trying to offend you. I just wasn't sure. But that's how, let's say, impersonable they sounded. Okay. They were so not trying to connect with the customer. And see, even if there was a fee even if Tires Plus had said, hey, it's going to cost you a little bit to do this, I would rather pay them because of how they treated me, because of how they talk to me, and they act concerned and they act like they care. We live in a time where it's about, okay, either you pay the money and just get out of our way, or don't pay it at all and we don't care. So that's a lot of times that's how people come across, or a lot of companies come across. But I have to tell you, you can do your own homework. I mean, there are companies out there, the heavy hitters, the companies that are making the money, whether you're a very small business to the big corporate conglomerates, doesn't matter. The ones that give the best service and kind of the best feel-good experiences, those are the companies that make the money. And we're not going to do it on this particular podcast, but perhaps I might give a few tips here. I was going to say perhaps on another podcast, we're going to go dive a little deeper into customer service and how you communicate with your customer. But one thing I will say, if I were to give you a tip right now, which I will, is kindness. Be nice to them. Okay. If you don't like the job, if you're the first line of defense, when someone calls and you're the person on the phone who sounds like you don't want to be bothered, then by all means, go get a job that you like. Find a job that you absolutely like. or find a place to work that you feel comfortable, where you could at least be a nice person. But understand this, whether you like your job or not, the person on the other end, it's not their fault. So it affects you more when you're not being nice to the customer, not connecting to the customer because they don't want to come there. Nobody, I don't care how things are today. Nobody wants to go a place where they're not having a good experience, where they don't feel good. And by the way, if you are, doing that, I would say at some point as a customers should take a stand and demand more. But this is about the business person because this is Thriving Thursday. So I wanted to let you know that customer service is extremely important. Of course, I don't know of anybody who hasn't ordered something from Amazon. And while they have their own set of issues, when it comes to me, the customer, if I need something, I order it. It's here when they say it's going to be here. If I don't like it, they make it easy for me to return it. If I have a problem, now it's a little bit hard to find their phone number, but I can find you. So I find their phone number, I call, I get a live person, and they handle the situation, and they do it with such grace. And so back to the different, car, service repair companies, Toyota, not as nice, but when I took my car to Tires Plus, as I said, they treated me, just so nicely. It was almost like having a conversation, with a friend. And the guy who I talked to, if you guys are in Jacksonville, Florida, and they're not paying me to do this, I just want to mention them. It's Tires Plus on San Jose Boulevard here in Jacksonville, Florida. And the store manager is Chip Tatum, and that was the person that I actually talked to. And he actually has a service manager whose name is Tony Daggs. And great people to deal with. Because think about this. Let's say if you need something done to your car, okay, you're already stressed out to begin with. So what you don't need is to go someplace else where they make you feel like you're the most unimportant person on the planet. And so I have to admit, Tires Plus over on San Jose Boulevard, I can't speak for the rest of them locations, but this one, primo. And they're going to get my business whenever I need to go there. Okay. So customer service can increase your revenues. Simply being nice, word of mouth, because here's the other side to that. And I don't have to tell you guys this. When you're not good, people can't wait to talk about that either. Okay. They can't wait to tell that. And they don't just tell one or two people. When you hurt people's feelings or you make them feel small, you need to be prepared for that, because they're going to tell somebody somewhere, and they'll probably tell more than one person. They'll tell anybody who will listen until they start to feel better. You see, until they feel validated by someone somewhere. Why? Because you, the business owner, or your person who's on the front lines, meaning you're the assistant or the person who takes the phone call, or whoever is providing whatever service, and they're dealing with that person, made them feel like they were not valid, that they did not matter. So if you want to increase your business revenue, I would suggest that you take a moment. And see, I'm a fan of either pulling out the journal or pulling out the notebook. And so I would suggest that you, and you could also use your computer. A lot of times, even though I do a lot on the internet, the reason why I use a notebook or a journal is because I like to step away from my electronics, and it's just me and my brain and my imagination. Okay. So I would suggest that you write down, look at your business, and you answer the question, how is my customer service? In what ways can my customer service be improved? That's a second question that you can ask and answer. And so when you are able to answer those questions, and if you're able to answer those questions, the first one especially, satisfactorily, you're good to go. The second question, that requires that you take a look at your business. One thing I can tell you, and I'm doing it right now, when I talked about a couple of months ago, I talked about redesigning your life. And I thought, because I've been doing this for a long time. And so every now and then I have to look at everything and decide if we need a complete overhaul, if we need to change things completely. Now, we're not going to change things completely, just so you know, but we are really, I think, improving on what we have. I'll say it like that. And of course, each quarter, I look at everything. And honestly speaking, at the end of each month, I look at, our numbers, and it's not just about how much money did someone spend with me. It is about, yes, I do look at my revenues, of course, because I need that to stay in business. But I look at how well did we do in terms of customers? Did we acquire new customers? You see, good customer service allows you to increase your customer base. I hear people all the time. They want to know, how do they get more business? And because I was in real estate, I especially get asked that a lot by new realtors and even some seasoned realtors. Well, how do I increase my business? And how did you increase your business? And how did you sell all of those houses that you sold? I sold 998 houses. Sometimes I wish I'd sold just 2 more for an even number. But okay, let's say OCD in me doesn't extend that far out. But the thing is that I tell them I actually cared about my customers. I cared more about the customer than I did the commission. And don't get me wrong. I don't work free because, well, free is not going to keep my lights on. And biblically speaking, the Bible says a man who does a day's work deserves a day's pay. And that's what your business is for. When you provide a good service, you're entitled to receive compensation for that. And that's okay because you've made someone else's life better. And so in some area. So the point that I'm making is I would always tell them I would give good customer service. And they said, well, how do you know if the customer's happy? Well, that's easy. I got more customers. I got lots of referrals. And people got to know my name. And so when you do treat people the way, you know what? They say you treat people the way you want to be treated, and that's true. But when it comes to your business, you have to see how they want to be treated. You have to understand it. You have to ask yourself the question, because every single person is not the same. Now, here's my caveat. Doesn't matter how good you are. Doesn't matter how good your service is. As a matter of fact, the larger your customer base becomes, there's always going to be a very small percentage that are going to complain about something. There's always going to be 1 or 2 people that you can't please no matter what, because they're trying to get something for nothing. That's always going to happen. And so they're the exception to the good customer service rule. But with that being said, if you really want to increase your business revenues, don't make it harder than it has to be. Take a look at your business and take a look at your service. One last thing about customer service. In order to give quality customer service, you have to really know your business. And I'm always surprised by the number of people that want to make money, that want to, I'm going to be rich and I'm going to do this. And yet they don't want to take the time to know their business. And they want to come to not just me, but they want to go to someone else and me for all of the answers. And then it's amazing when you give them the answers, they look at you like, a deer staring in headlights on a car. Like, really? That's it? Well, isn't there more? No, I treat them like they want to be treated. And I knew my business really well. And any business I go into, I learn it. I make it a part of my life. So not all of my life, but a part of my life. So when it comes to giving good customer service, you have to know your business. Nothing is, and I don't know if this is from, actually, you know what? I was going to say, I don't know if this is from my military days or what, because in the military, one of the things we were always taught is you don't just say, I don't know. You can say, well, I don't know, but I'll find out. Okay. And now nothing is more annoying than when you go to a business and you ask the person a question and they just go, I don't know. And they just look at you like, move on. So it's their job to find out. So I find that to be substandard, customer service. So with that being said, we're going to wrap up now, you guys. I just want you to think about the customer service in your business. Think about the people that work with you, your staff, your team. Are they out there saying things like, well, I don't know, and they just leave it like that? You perhaps want to teach them what to say, and you want to make sure that your training is impeccable. Okay. When I had my real estate company, and this is my last example, I think it is. My last example, when I had my real estate company, anybody who worked there, they can tell you, if you ask them, were you trained? And they will say yes. They will tell you that they knew exactly how I wanted to run that company. They would tell you that they knew exactly what the policies were. They would tell you they knew the expectations. They will tell you, because it was real estate, they will tell you that they knew how to sell. They knew how to treat the customers, and they knew how to answer questions. They knew their business. And because I made sure they were trained. And so customer service is kind of something you think is just a smile and being nice. That's a part of it. Yes, you want to be personable and connect. But as I said, there's more to it than that. You need to know your business. And so when you can put those two things together, and there are a few other things we don't have time to go over right now, but we will address these in future Thriving Thursdays. When you can put those two together, I promise you customers will start talking about you. Okay. And I don't have to tell you need to have a quality product or give quality service, right? You already know that. So excellence is a big deal as well. So with that being said, I want to say, and I don't know if they're ever going to listen to this podcast, but I really do want to thank Chip Tatum. And of course, as I said, his store manager. He's the store manager, and his service manager, Tony Daggs, there we go, over on San Jose Boulevard. I want to thank them for kind of renewing my faith, if you will, in small businesses and quality service, because they did an excellent job. And actually, it was a feel-good day. So with that being said, you guys, take a look at your business, figure out if you have the best customer service. If you don't, learn what you need to learn. And in the meantime, do life with power, because you're built by design to win.